Welcome back to the channel. Today we have some very exciting news to talk about. It appears that Toys R Us is going to be back from the dead. I feel like we've heard this before, so let's go ahead and unpack the details and find out if this is another case of the boy who cried wolf or giraffe. Toys R Us is announcing they have officially emerged as a new company, with new leadership and a new vision to deliver the magic of its iconic brands around the world. Effective January 20th, 2019, this new company, Tru Kids Incorporated, doing business as Tru Kids Brands, has become the proud parent of Toys R Us, Babies R Us, Geoffrey, and more than 20 established consumer toy and baby brands. Tru Kids Brands will be led by Richard Berry, the former Global Chief Merchandising Officer at Toys R Us, who will serve as the President and CEO, along with other experienced management team that includes Matthew Finnegan as Chief Financial Officer, James Young as the Executive Vice President of Global License Management and General Counsel, and Jean-Daniel Gatinal as Senior Vice President of Global Sourcing and Brands. The company also appointed brand management veteran Yehuda Schmidden as vice chairman to advise global strategy and execution. Schmidden is the CEO of Wave Hill Partners and is the former CEO of Sequential Brands Group. Sequential Brands Group is most notable for its department store and retail clothing applications, such as Jessica Simpson and Martha Stewart brands, as well as many others. The official press release goes on to say that for over 70 years, Toys R Us has celebrated the joys of childhood with kids of all ages, and Babies R Us has been the destination for all new and expecting parents. Geoffrey the giraffe, the beloved mascot of Toys R Us for more than 50 years, is adored by kids, their families, and everyone else around the world. This brand power remains as Toys R Us and Babies R Us continue to have incredibly strong brand affinity and loyalty, with more than 9.5 million followers across their social media channels. Despite unprecedented efforts to capture the U.S. market share this past holiday season, there is still a significant gap in huge consumer demand for the trusted experience that Toys R Us and Babies R Us delivers, said Richard Berry, the new CEO of Tru Kids Brands. We have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to write the next chapter of Toys R Us by launching a newly imagined omni-channel retail experience for our beloved brands here in the United States. In addition, our strong global footprint is led by experienced and passionate operating teams that are 100% focused on growth, said Berry. This press release also says Tru Kids global partners are set to bring on the joy of Toys R Us and Babies R Us to more consumers by opening 70 new stores this year in Asia, India, and Europe alone, as well as the development and new e-commerce platforms in several key markets. Tru Kids will be headquartered in New Jersey with a skilled team of returning Toys R Us executives and employees. Richard Berry finished this press release by stating, "We have an incredible team focused on bringing Toys R Us and Babies R Us back in a completely new and reimagined way, so the U.S. doesn't have to go through another holiday without these beloved brands." Now, some key things we need to point out here is that these executives are not trying to bring Toys R Us back from the dead to establish itself in its former big box store image. No, what they're actually aiming to do is leverage the final remaining pieces of the Toys R Us empire that still remain, and repackage them in a new business for the current market. Now, what that equates to is this means that taking things like the intellectual properties such as Geoffrey the giraffe, Babies R Us, and the Toys R Us name itself, and its global franchising business, and it's going to use these things as a tentpole to get this new vision and this new business off the ground. Now, the franchising business and their e-commerce business reported over $3 billion in sales from 2018 alone. These figures would be the result of massive liquidation that caused Toys R Us to shut its doors across the United States to begin with. So it's definitely not a fair comparison to say, hey, we brought in $3 billion, when in reality, the majority of those sales were due to the liquidation that was going on because the stores had to close. Some more key takeaways from this press release would be the omni-channel retail experience that Richard Berry speaks about. Now, they've already kind of put their toes in the water this earlier in the year, so to speak, when they did the Geoffrey's Toy Box pop-up stores in the Kroger retail outlets. And what they did was they had a mix of about 35 toys costing from $19.99 to $49.99 for sale at various Kroger-owned grocery stores, including Ralph's, Smith's, Fred Meyer, and the Kroger namesake itself. And they had all these little pop-up stores inside the Kroger retail outlets so they could essentially try to sell toys without having the large overhead that all these big box retail stores that they had to close down with, all these original Toys R Us and Babies R Us locations. This is probably what we're going to see, folks. We're likely to see pop-up stores, more online sales stores, things like Amazon. You'll probably see Toys R Us items on Amazon. I mean, it's not going to go back to the way it was. As much as I really wish it would, we're not going to see the 700 retail stores just magically reopen their doors. Many of these have already been sold, decommissioned, and or transitioned over to new outlets and stores and things of that nature. So as much as I like to say it's coming back, it really isn't. It's going to come back, but it's going to be a much different, closer sign of modern times where everyone's buying things online and or in smaller quantities and dosage. You're not going to see that massive footprint that we all grew up loving and visiting. Some stores, yes, there might be some locations that reopen their doors and they have a big box experience all of a sudden, but it's definitely not going to be to the same magnitude that we saw back in its heyday.
At Toys R Us. Helmut, I hope you've been paying attention, because I'm going to give a pop quiz later. Could I have some of your seeds?
That does it for this video update. Be sure to like this video and share it with your friends if you found this information helpful. Also, be sure to like and comment down below. Let me know your thoughts of this news. And if you're new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll be the first to know every time I upload a new video. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.